excited. The first of our speakers, Alex McAteer, comes to us from Real Estate Title. And some of you guys might be asking, like, great, that's just what I want to hear, a title rep. And the truth of it is like, I'm not like anybody who knows me long enough knows, I don't bring speakers that are going to come up here and talk fluff and try to sell you product and service. That's just not who I am. Like, I want value to the audience. And, when I got to see what Alex was doing, and Alex is, he has a unique kind of dual role in the sense that, yes, he sells title and he does that at a very high level, and real estate is the best in the business. But in addition to that, he also, through him and his wife, they built a 7-figure real estate business. And he did that using tools that all of you guys could use. So when I saw like the skill set that Alex has and watched like, some of the things and the learnings that he could bring to the table, I said, you gotta come down here and do this because everybody in this room could benefit from it. So I appreciate you coming out, my friend, and I welcome you to the mic. No. You're gonna hold the mic, that's for the
So I started these presentations a while back, and I would ask the audience a question. Yeah. Sorry,
just like forward, left and right. Yep.
Okay. How many transactions are you expected to do within your first 90 days of real estate? Who has an answer for that? 1.
0.
How many transactions would you be expected to do within your first 90 days of real estate? Launching your business. Yeah, as a new agent. 0, okay. Anybody? 2. And then how many transactions would you expect to do within your first year as a new agent? 5, 15, 10, 8. So when I started doing these presentations, to rewind a little bit, I've been in title insurance for 25 years. I'm not here to talk about title insurance. It's like a natural remedy for sleeping. So if you want to talk about title, you'll fall asleep. We could do that if you have a tough time sleeping at night. I'm here to talk about some strategies, some things that I've implemented, some things that I do. I'm going to give you some basic things today that you can implement. You can walk away or actionable items. But when being in title insurance, I started in sales at a young age. Worked my way through team lead, sales management, and got into executive leadership. But at that point, they challenged my values. The company that I was serving challenged my values. We had a team in Pennsylvania, and they came to me and said, based on the P&L, we think we can do better. We want you to dissolve your Pennsylvania division. And at that time, some of those folks, bless you, some of those folks on the team were serving for 14 years on the team. So they really bled the company's color. And I had to sit down with one individual who, at the time, went through a divorce. That's always tough. Had a son that was battling a rare cancer, and now he's losing his job and his benefits and everything like that. It didn't sit right with me, because I believe when you serve a company, they should really value their people, and unfortunately, they didn't value their people. So I called him up and said, "Are you willing? Would you be okay if I start a GoFundMe for you?" This is an eye-opening experience for me. He said, "Absolutely. Start the GoFundMe." Within 7 days, I raised $15,000 through social media, and then I assigned him as the beneficiary of the account, and I resigned from the organization with really no plan. But the eye-opening experience was how powerful social media was. I wasn't big into social media, and as a joke, Dave right here, Dave Papa, the head of our title team and the company, he signed me up as a joke on Facebook. I was the last kid on it. And I remember I was at Adam's Bagels, and I got a notification on my phone. I think it was like a BlackBerry. And I was, "Congratulations, you're signed up for Facebook." And I was like, "Damn, Dave, I knew that you did that." So anyways, I didn't really pay much attention to the power of social media until that moment when I raised $15,000 in 7 days, realized how powerful social media is and the reach you can have with it. So that's when I opened my eyes to that. There were other moments too that opened my eyes to how powerful it is. Like the first time I went Facebook Live, it was a nurse singing to my mom in a nursing home. My mom suffered from Alzheimer's. I was her caretaker. I was my father's caretaker. So I had to live a lot of hats. I had to be a caretaker, be full-time title insurance, and then launch this real estate brand, as well as management on properties and things like that. So there was a lot of hats I had to wear, and then obviously I was at every game that my kids had. I was present in my, obviously I'm present in my kids' lives, but I'm at every dinner, and I make sure that I'm a part of everything that we can to make my relationship work as well. So it's not an easy job, and many of you, I'm sure, have gone through experiences like that. So you learn from these things that shape who you are and who you become. There's a lot of ups and downs in life, and how you respond to adversity defines who you are as a person, who you become. So that's the only thing that you can really guarantee is change. And here we are, change, right? The business is changing, everything's changing. So rewind a little bit. So I resigned from the company. I start with a new organization as a business development officer, and I had no clients. I was in leadership for 14 years. I let go of all my clients, my attorneys. I didn't have relationships with agents. So I had to come up with a strategy that gave me the opportunity to build rapport and build a relationship, maybe earn like Slattery is a presentation I went to when my wife was in healthcare, where to summarize the whole presentation, if your prospect stood to lose nothing but not doing business with you, then not doing business with you would be the right decision. There has to be consequences, and that's differentiating value. So I had to create some sort of value proposition in order to earn the trust of the agents I wanted to build a relationship with. So I started doing 3D virtual tours. I bought my first Matterport camera, didn't know anything about it, but I was obsessed with how they made them. And I was one of the first on the East Coast to be doing this, but I did them for free. To the point where I was getting calls every day. I was doing 3 virtual tours a day. And back then, when I started doing this, I was paying hosting fees of $12,000 a year, by the way, and for free. And I would go out and I would do the 3D virtual tour. It'd take 1 minute and 20 seconds to scan, and then you have to move to another spot and scan. Sometimes the scans didn't pick up, so then you had to redo it. And eventually, you had a house of, and at the time, agents didn't want to do it because of the cost associated with Matterport, right? They called it Matterhorn, by the way. It's Matterport. So the cost of doing a 3D virtual tour back then was anywhere from 15 to 25 cents per square foot. So on the high end, it would be $1,000 for a 4,000 square foot house, and it probably would take like 3 hours to do the actual walkthrough experience. But what was happening was the dozens and dozens of 3D virtual tours that I was doing, I was showing up at the property and the agents weren't there. So I got a really good education because I got to learn the seller's motives. I got to learn a lot about staging. I found myself folding laundry, doing dishes they left in the sink. I'm not even kidding. It was an experience for me. So then I realized like how you really truly should showcase a property. So I got a good education out of that. Then I started doing photography. I learned how to shoot HDR, bracket photos, and then I learned the importance of all these things. Then I got into video. Then I got into more social media. Then I said, this isn't working. 90% of the agents that would invite me to do a 3D virtual tour weren't using me, but the 10% that were using me, I no longer had time to serve them. So they said, you're too busy for me because you're doing all these things for other people. So I said, I have to pull back on this for a little bit and I have to come up with a new value proposition. So I started doing seminars. And I remember I'm doing a seminar, I had maybe 8 people in the class, and I'm talking about all these strategies and case studies, how I built a Facebook page in 3 months to 50,000 followers. And I thought, oh, what a great way to bring value to an agent where I can then take the inventory, add it to my page, market it, do retargeting, create lead generation, and then get back the leads. I thought it'd be a great strategy. But again, I would do these seminars, and one person raised their hand and said, but Alex, what do you know about building a real estate business? You're just a title representative. So there was 8 people in the class that time, and I said, you know what, they have a point. Like, I have to prove that these things work. So I went home. Key Food was the name of the place. I live in a small town in Milford, Pennsylvania. There's only 1 traffic light, just to give you an idea of how small it is. But we have a Dunkin' Donuts now, so we're growing. It's pretty impressive. I ran into an agent who I used to work with that would find properties for me, Carl. I said, Carl, I have this idea, and I was wondering if you would leave your company and join my wife. We're going to launch a real estate team. By the way, my wife didn't know that we were developing a real estate team at that time. So then I went home. I said, Lisa, you're bored in healthcare. Why don't you're really good on the phones. Why don't you just get your real estate license? You can just be the face of it. You don't have to do anything. I knew that wouldn't be the case. But she agreed. He agreed. We joined the team. Within 3 months, 90 days, 13 listings we took. Again, I was not selling. I was not showing properties. I was just doing marketing. And then we closed 100 transactions our first full year. So it was a successful year. I'm only telling you that because I think that the things that we were implementing proved that these things can be very successful. So I'm going to share with you just some ideas today. But what I've learned, I started going out there and meeting with teams. And a lot of teams would say, this is how we do it. And I would consult and I would come up with, I thought my new value proposition would be to look at what they're doing, find a way to do it better, and then give it back to them and say, hey, if you package it up this way, you can have greater success. That was the value proposition I wanted to deliver, but it was a good education for me because I realized that Mike, where are you? Save me. It's not working. Stay tuned. We're not in a presentation anymore. Okay.
I'll be your flipper. Try
Okay,
it.
perfect.
Do you need me to be your flipper?
That'd be awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. So this is basically the equation that we built our business plan around. Hyperlocal, omnipresent. One of the first presentations I did is how to become hyperlocal using Facebook ads. I hired an ads manager where she would run ad campaigns, and we were generating hundreds of leads. Then I realized the conversion rate was so low. It was between 0.5% and 2% conversion. So you really had to have good systems in place in order to convert. Most would call, text, and email, and that would be the end of it. But it was at that time, it was like 13 attempts before you could actually convert a buyer. There was one buyer for every 100 leads. So when you go and hire companies that you probably get bombarded with all the time that call you and say, hey, hire me, I'll generate leads for you, just know that you have to have a system in place to convert those leads. ISA platforms, things like that. You do need that, otherwise you're going to be spending money generating leads for nothing. So the follow-up is important, but hyperlocal and omnipresent was one of the things that we said, how do we become hyperlocal when we weren't really involved in the school system, weren't involved in it. Nobody knew who I was, nobody knew who my wife was in Milford, Pennsylvania, but how do we dominate a market if nobody knows who we are and we're competing with companies that have been in the business for 40 years, 45 years, and I remember personal friends would say to me, Alex, what are you going to do to build your business? Because at the end of the day, these guys have cornered the market and you're brand new. So what are you going to do that's going to bring value? So we broke it down into categories of how we were going to target the neighborhood, the HOAs, the town, the county. And then we started looking at how do we stay community focused? How do we stay relevant, which obviously relevancy equals growth. And this is the equation that we focused on. So we wanted to be doing something with the community on a daily basis, a weekly, monthly, and annual basis. We wanted to create something so big, it was so difficult for other competitors to model. Because then when they try to model it, what happens is that it kind of comes across as cheesy and watered down. So I'll give you an example. Our biggest events, we have 4 events a year. We do Easter, we do Halloween, we do the 4th of July, and we do Christmas. So we have 4 large events. Now, when I talk about large events, we usually get anywhere from 3,500 to 6,000 people to our events from a community standpoint. So talking about becoming hyperlocal and omnipresent, it's a quick way to do it. And we do everything from single let's mingle. I'm not single, but I do an event like that, and it generates a lot of people. We do, we don't do really mastermind groups, but we do like motivational seminars and things like that, where my wife, who's phenomenal on camera, phenomenal in presenting, she does a great job, and it's only moms are allowed at this. And it's a cool experience because we start lots of different groups. We have tons of groups on Facebook. Facebook pages for Pike Moms. We have local pages for the community. You name it. So we have a lot of different groups, and this is how we advertise a lot that we do. And relevancy, I'll give you an example. Relevancy, like you look at what's happening right now. We put up billboards, and those billboards are relax, it's just us, with pictures of us in little spaceships. So you have to think about whatever it is that's going to be relevant to them, right, or to the community at this moment. So this is pretty much the equation. I think any team, if you talk to any team, they would tell you this is what they pretty much have implemented and why they dominate. And of course, I guess I got clicker works now.
Is it just because of video?
Oh, it is. So here's an example right here. I don't know if it's going to let me play it. Doesn't let you play it, right?
I think you have to click the.
Do you? Just want to give you an example so you can kind of see what I mean. you an idea of what's happening.
This is my best investment.
Just give you like a gauge. We had 3,500 people this event, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. But just to give you an idea of like the impact that we have on the community, to the point where now the different community houses and local museums and anybody who's like in business up there is now leaning on us to help them launch different programs, which then helps us dominate the market because now we're building rapport and relationships with local businesses, right? And you're tapping into their network as well. So just the biggest thing is really you got to be everywhere, right? That's the key with being omnipresent. You have to be everywhere. And one of the things that you can start with, I think will give you an idea if you really are showing up everywhere. So this is yext.com. You don't have to pay for the resource. This is a free resource right now. What you do is just kind of want to check out and see how you actually show up online. Have you pulled your annual credit report ever? Has anybody ever pulled their annual credit report?
Yeah.
And then you look for inaccuracies in your credit report. Well, online, this is basically the same thing, but for your online business. So you want to make sure that you are optimizing your business, that you are showing up the same way without inaccuracies in all different areas. Do you have profiles built in all these different areas? There are companies out there that do it for you, but this is just a quick way a free way to identify what you need to correct to make sure that you're showing up consistently across all areas. This is Google Maps. You guys are familiar with Google Maps, right? This is your local finder on the left-hand side, and your Google Maps is on the right-hand side. So they're essentially the same thing. The only difference between the two is one is on your phone and one is like online, right? You go on the internet for. So I want to show you today easy ways to correct your online business listing. So I became obsessed with Google Maps. I don't know why, it was a weird thing. My wife gave me a hard time about it for a little bit. But I figured if you could correct your Google My Business profile, then you can correct your maps and how you rank. Now this is important to know that 86% of consumers use Google Map to look up local businesses, right? So look at the stats. Like when you start looking at what other areas or what other devices you can start using that, who uses Waze and who uses all these different platforms. Google Maps has the market share. 75% of clicks on Google Maps go to the top 3 ranking businesses. That Google top ranking, the top 3, under those are organic spots. 67% of consumers prefer Google Maps over other navigation applications. Again, important. 41% of smartphone owners use Google Maps once a week or more. I use it all the time. I even use it now to check to see if the hours and operations of a business is open. 50% of local mobile searches are looking for a business address. It's great, 50%. But 5 billion searches per day are conducted on Google Maps. So why wouldn't you want to correct this? This is something that you could do for free. And you do it, I just want to show you something real quick. This is pretty cool. So if you go to SEMrush, semrush.com, you can pretty much analyze how you're ranking in categories that are important to you. So you can see I'm obsessed with ranking at the top of everything. There are so many strategies you can implement from a search engine optimization standpoint. I'm not going to even get into it because
What did you say that was called again?
SEMrush, semrush.com. So you'll see I rank number 1 and I'm getting 26.67% share of voice, which means that's the visibility selected based on the keyword divided by the amount of market visibility or availability there is. Okay, so when you start looking at, that's good, ranking number 1, top place. It's kind of hard to do though. You have to look at, we own a commercial building, so it's easy to get ranked for that reason. We are a team competing against agencies, and we're outperforming now. So it's a big deal because there could be agency that has 80 sales agents in them, and we're outperforming, and there's only a couple of us. You know what I mean? So that's important to see. You can see here, if I was trying to rank for consultant or something that I'm not trying to rank for, and I put in that keyword, you'll see that it's not being ranked, right? And then I'll look at real estate agent, real estate agency services, and all the other areas that maybe I want to rank for. And you do this through your Google My Business profile. How many of you have a Google My Business profile set up? There's a lot of people here that don't. It's important. It's important. You're going to want to obviously go on there and claim and verify your Google My Business profile, GMB, if you haven't done that already. You want to optimize it. I treat Google My Business profile very similar to how I would treat a social media site. So it's very similar to that for me. So you want to ensure that your keyword integration includes real estate agent or team or whatever it is you're trying to rank for, because that's going to help you rank on Google Maps. You're going to want to obviously update your attributes and highlight the keyword attributes that you are attempting to rank for. And then I do things like this that I take an extra step. I don't know if it's necessary, but I geotag my photos. Anytime I upload a photo, I use GeoImager, IMGR, and I put the location, I embed the location into the photo so Google can index it wherever it has to. So if I wanted to make sure that I'm indexing the front of my building, I'm taking a picture of it, I'm bringing it over to GeoImager, and I'm putting the longitude and latitude in here automatically just by putting the property address in the description section and hitting enter. So I like to do that. I like to treat it like a social media. Every time there's a new listing, I'm uploading photos. So if you have 25 photos that you would normally put on MLS, add it to your photo section. It shows Google that you're active, you're an active business. If I take images of an association, I upload it. If there's closing pictures that you take with the folks that just closed, I upload it. Everything I can to treat it like an active thing is what I do. These are just, again, basic SEO best practices. Sites for geotagging, these are some of the sites that you can use. GeoImager is the one that I use personally. It's the one that I use personally. There's also, if you go onto Google Chrome Extension Store, Google Chrome Store, there's extensions. You can use something like this, which is GMB Audit for local SEO, and then you can get an idea of what your competitors are doing and how they're ranking. So it's kind of like spying, like I used to spy on ads when a real estate professional would show up at a listing presentation. They would say, oh, I do Facebook marketing. I could literally go in there and see what exactly they do. I could spy on those ads to see how active they are. If they're doing a really good job, I can model best practices. I mean, those are things that you can do. There's so many tools out there for things like that. Encouraging reviews. This is a big deal. When you go to download an application on your smartphone, are you looking at reviews? You're looking at reviews. You want to make sure that they have a lot of reviews. You want to make sure that they're ranking high. Otherwise, you pass them up and you don't want to waste any time on it. You don't want to purchase an application, right? People are treating your business the same way. They're looking at your reviews. If your ranking is really good, then it can encourage more business. Like, that's what you want to do. So you want to focus on, obviously building reviews. I do want to sidestep for a quick story real quick. When I started meeting with teams, by the way, I generated, there was so many listing presentations I was given, from the White Doors presentation to EXP, to really executives, to Remax, Cold Banker. There wasn't a brand out there that didn't give me their listing presentation. Who can tell me exactly what I learned from that experience? Anybody? Okay. They're the same. They're the same. And I knew that when I launched this business for Lisa, that she was going to go out there and she was going to sit with a prospect, and they were going to say to her, but you're brand new. She had to have something that was going to encourage them to want to give her an opportunity. So if you look at your listing presentation, by the way, there's a way to make it better. There's a way to make it stand out. There's always a way to make it improved. So that was one thing that I really learned from that experience. It was the same presentation, just a different font with a different logo. So you have to think about that, because when you go on those listing presentations, I know if I went on a listing presentation, I've been on hundreds of them, not because I was going for the listing presentation, but because when I was doing 3D virtual tours, agents were inviting me to explain the Matterport process, how immersive the 3D virtual tour is. I started learning all the objections they were throwing, And I said, wow, like the education I'm getting from this is amazing. Like I can craft a listing presentation that will go in and blow any of them away just by changing a few things, by complicating it for the seller where they're just like, you're overwhelming me. And you're so tech savvy, we have to go with you because now I can see exactly why you guys do so well, why you crush it. You know, everything from social media. When we talk about social media, I overwhelm them. I really do. I explain to them the specifics behind why you're doing professional photography, not because the competition's doing professional photography, but the reason behind it. Like if you define the why with them, same with video. It's not about just the impressions. Maybe you're taking video and you're using it for retargeting. I'm using it to do retargeting, target behaviors based on your behaviors. I can now have that custom audience. Have that custom audience, I can create a lookalike audience. I can tell Facebook exactly what type of ideal client I want. Based on that, I'm generating buyers. And now buyers are now going to my ISA team, who's now qualifying those buyers to find you the right buyer for your home. You know, I mean, there's so many things. The 3D virtual tour is the immersive tour. When COVID hit, everything shut down. We had the best time ever because we were selling properties left and right. I should say my wife was selling properties. I was just standing by her side. So again, reviews are important. We had a challenge when every time we did reviews, they weren't giving them back, right? Like, so you're at the closing table, and I still have to. I actually just built a house, and I've been telling the guy I'm going to do a review, and that's actually one of the things that I do, pride myself in, is reviews. I do a lot of reviews, but I haven't gotten to it yet. And that's what happens with the average person. They close, they don't do the review, they forget, and then there's so much time that goes past that you forget to keep asking, right? So here's a strategy that we came up with that made it a little bit easier. We use milestones now to collect reviews. So if you haven't done it, it's an easy way to do it where your offer's accepted. Boom, that's a milestone. You're sending over an email with a video attached to it. Home inspection completed, loan pre-approval, properties just listed, first showing, offers received, closing scheduled, keys are exchanged, and 1 month later or something like that. So, again, it could be an anniversary call. You have milestone after milestone where you can request these reviews. But I like to do it like this, for example. I just gave you a sample. This is not exactly one that I embedded into the back of our CRM platform. But it would be like, let's say, here's a 3D virtual tour with the images, right? So I'm using that as an opportunity because usually when I go to do the photos on a weekend, this is actually their exciting time. They're excited about it. It's not playing.
I can't run it. I'm trying.
Oh,
Hello,
here we go.
I'm excited to inform you that your photos are now available for download. You can easily access them through the bit.ly link provided below. In addition to your photos, your 3D virtual tour is also ready. This is an immersive experience which provides potential buyers with a true sense of being in your property even before they physically visit. This is a groundbreaking tool that increases the chances of finding a qualified buyer. When they do visit in person, it's almost like a second showing, creating a stronger connection to your property. Before I conclude, I would like to ask you a small favor. If you are satisfied with our service, could you please consider leaving us a 5-star review? Providing a top-notch experience at every stage is crucial to us, and your feedback helps us help others feel confident in selecting us as a team. Thank you for entrusting us with your property. We are dedicated to making every aspect of the process smooth and successful for you. We are eager to hear about your experience, and thank you once again.
Okay, so it's just a sample. I did that sample really quick just to kind of give you an idea of what you can do. I shot 3 videos in the same day and I started taking off layers. So if you're wondering why I'm doing it, it's just because I wanted to give the experience like I'm wearing something different each time. Okay? That's the only reason. Promise.
Our marketing strategy, designed to showcase your beautiful home over the next few months. We've highlighted your home's unique features and compelling description and stunning visuals on your dedicated website and across all key platforms to attract qualified buyers. Our strategic social media marketing plan is going to engage with content, will showcase your home and the surrounding area, creating buzz and drawing interest from potential buyers. We are exploring opportunities to maximize your home's visibility, ensuring it stands out in today's market. We've implemented a strategy to connect with interested buyers quickly, responding to inquiries promptly to keep momentum. We are confident this plan will effectively market your home. If you are happy with our approach, we'd be incredibly grateful if you could leave us a 5-star review, because your feedback means so much to us and helps others trust our process. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are committed to providing reception.
Okay, this is my last video, because any more videos I would be shirtless. So this was my last video.
So I'm so excited because now we are 3 weeks into marketing your spring home, and I wanted to take a moment to highlight some progress and get your feedback. Here's a snapshot of what we've accomplished. Your listing is now featured on key platforms including our website, social media channels, as well as relevant real estate websites. We've attached some key metrics for you to review, such as our website traffic and our social media engagement, and the inquiries that we've generated. This aligns with our strategic approach, targeting the right audience and maximizing your home's visibility. You ever go on Amazon and you click on something and that product follows you around? That's what we did. We were able to generate what's called a custom audience. That custom audience allows us to retarget the right audience and maximizing your home's visibility. I feel like this aligns with our strategic approach. We do value your input, and we ask that if you could take a moment to review the information.
Oh, okay. So here's another strategy you can implement. So it's using your customer's 1-star bad experience to generate content. So now you're speaking to relatable content that's going to help you. It's going to elevate you. But you don't have to obviously point out that, hey, you know, I noticed that Joe didn't show up to that listing appointment. But you can say, hey, have you ever experienced this situation? Because you want to speak to that. And that's going to help you generate content in an easy way without having to wonder, what are you going to talk about? So here's just another example.
Buying a home is one of life's greatest adventures, but what happens when things don't go as planned? Imagine finding the perfect home only to hear that it appraised lower than what you expected. It's a common frustration, leaving many buyers feeling lost and anxious. But here's the thing, you want to trust your agent, you want to be able to rely on communication, but that can break down over time. So what do you do next? Without proper documentation, your hard-earned money could be at risk. Understanding your rights, your contracts, and deposits is critical. You're going to always want to secure a clear written agreement. If complications arise, you're going to want to know your options. Clarity in your transactions protects your interests, so don't hesitate to ask questions and demand transparency. I can tell you that we value transparency and communication, and we've helped countless families navigate through situations, turning frustrations like this into success stories with our dedicated support. So if you face challenges, document everything, consult legal counsel if necessary, and maintain an open line of communication with your agent. If you're ready to work with a team that values your trust, contact us today.
Okay, I know it's a lot of stuff. Hopefully I'm not overwhelming you guys. Does anybody have any questions at this point? Yes?
So how do you send this video?
Depends. I use BombBomb. I integrate it into the CRM. I create templates inside the CRM, pulling the video from BombBomb. So then basically I give the agents free reign to drop down different custom templates they want to use for whatever there is, whether it be an investment strategy they want to get out to investors, whether we're doing a seminar. By the way, have you guys done seminars, I'm assuming? Buyer seminars, of course, seller seminars, and we do a lot of seminars. Some of those seminars we'll do at open houses. So we get very creative with it. I did a video on the step-up and base tax benefit, okay? And what I learned from that was I got a call from somebody who worked with Lisa who was told she had to pay $88,000 in tax inheritance. So I did this video. Here's a tax benefit that you have. Here's something you can do. I cleared it with my CPA, who I meet with every month, and I give him all this stuff, and I say, what do you think? Once I did that, she called me up, and she's like, Alex, I had this, I was told I had to pay $88,000, and I went to my accountant, he said, don't believe everything you hear. Well, you got to make sure that the information you're putting out there, and there's a lot of information that's put out there, is not accurate. My daughter sent me a video the other day about how to hurt my kid's credit, like a strategy for building her credit, and they were completely wrong. So you have to make sure you put credible information out there. But she did call me, and she said, I believed your video so much that I fired my accountant, I hired a new accountant, I didn't have to pay a dime. And because of that, I want to come to your next buyer or investment seminar, which we were doing that month, and I want to become an investor. She became a client. So, content's great. So if you can find creative ways, whether you're embedding it into a platform like BombBomb, putting it into your CRM, dripping it out to your buyers. How many of you here aren't using your CRM? There's a lot of people that don't use CRMs. A lot of people that use Excel or notepads or whatever. Like, you got to use your CRM. You have to, because you're leaving opportunity on the table if you're not. So, yes?
Which CRM are you using, can I ask?
Me personally, and I've been through dozens of different, from Curator conversion to Boomtown, but we're using Boomtown right now. Yeah, and Follow Up Plus. 2 different systems.
What was the other one?
Follow Up Plus. So, but if you guys have a CRM system within the company, you should be utilizing it. Like, they have great tools here. You should be using those systems.
Alex, real quick, are you using BombBomb for the entirety of your editing, or just because I'm seeing, green screen, split screen, or are you using something else as well?
I edit through either Final Cut, CapCut, DaVinci, Resolve, or Premiere Pro. Like any of the platforms, they all work great. All of them have different learning curves. Like if you're an Apple person, then Final Cut would be the way to go. There's a lot you can do with that. And I could do a whole class on it. Okay.
Geotagging your photographs, would you recommend going back to previous listings that are already sold and geotag those images just to build a foundation?
I don't think you need to do that. I don't think it's necessary. I think like if you do it once in a while, it's going to help. It's just what I do. It's just part of my practice. It's not something you have to do. It's going to help you from a search engine standpoint. SEO is not easy. If you guys are going to get into SEO, then you got to get into blogging. And then if you get into blogging, you can use artificial intelligence. I noticed that a lot with ChatGPT, where they'll reference content, and then my pages will come up at the bottom because they're pulling content from that to be able to give credible information. You can combine artificial intelligence. When I used to these seminars, I used to say, guys, the future of real estate is going to be augmented reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and video content. And here we are today. People didn't want to do it then. You got to do it now. So I'm telling you, blogging is the strategy. Blogging gets us a lot from an SEO standpoint, but there's something called generative engine optimization. You can ChatGPT it, Google it, whatever. It'll explain how it uses that. If you look at Google's perspective page, it'll give you an idea of what the future of Google is going to look like. It's going to be a lot more video, less links to click on. So you take your video, you put it on YouTube, you embed it into your blog, and then you index it with Google and Bing. That's how you work on SEO. So you got to work on SEO, and you got to be on YouTube. You have to be on those platforms. There's so many things that you could be doing, but just pick 1 or 2 platforms and immerse yourself into that first. Make video content. Our strategy now is 1 video every day, and it is possible. I went on a caravan the other day just to go, and I literally had 30 questions or 40 questions, and I went up to each individual agent, and I would ask them 3 or 4 questions. That was my content. I had 10 videos edited that night, and I had at least a week and a half worth of content. So
How many people do you have working with you guys?
now there's 12. 12, plus a couple of back support, admin, and all that type of stuff.
Hey, thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you.
For Google My Business, I just have a question. Do you typically use like your office address, or what do you guys, if my office is different from where I live?
That's the challenge.
What do you do?
Yeah. Well, for me personally, I have an office,
Yeah.
so it's easier to rank there because of
But
that.
let's say I'm 20 minutes from, right, and I'm on
Yeah,
service
that's a
city.
tricky thing, because if you are trying to rank for your office, like I noticed that when I type in Coldwell Banker Hillsborough, Tiffany, I don't know if you're here, but Jan Weber shows up, by the way. So she owned whatever it was on there, and she embedded herself in there to the point where now she's getting recognized and getting that. So I think be the first to do it.
Okay.
Be the first to
but
dominate your
most
office.
of my sales are in my town,
Yeah.
and not where I work.
Oh,
it's like-
okay, yeah. That's tricky. That's tricky. Because the way that Google Maps works is based on where your address is.
Yeah,
That's where you're going to end up with your, ranking.
right.
So that's a tricky one. I'll have to think about that a little more.
You're going to have 500 agents tagging their office every day now. We'll go one more question if you have it. Anybody has something pressing? Otherwise, we'll keep it moving. Please.
Where do you think the best thing to post your reviews? There's Google, there's Zillow, there's so many.
I'm big with Google, and I'm big with Facebook, and I'm big with Zillow. Those are the top 3. There's a system I use that allows me to send out the review request that gives them the 3 options, and we try to encourage them to put it on each and individual one. Unfortunately, I try to find a system that allows me to be able to embed across, like syndicate across multiple platforms. It doesn't exist. Not yet, anyways. It doesn't exist.
5-10 more minutes. Try to wind it up.
Bird Eye. Bird Eye. Bird Eye. what system I'm using to send reviews from, and also correct my business listings. It's called BirdEye. They have a lot of good features. So I know we have to kind of move through. I got like 5 more minutes. What I'm doing with Google My Business, obviously I create the listing in there. I'll post a product, add the pictures, embed any video that's under a certain megabyte size. I try to stay as active as possible on it. It's basically, I was just saying, create a product, main photo description, under 1,000 characters. I add a hyperlink to the web page. By the way, I only use landing pages. So I'm bouncing around a lot. I'm sure that they're probably going to send you slides, a lot more to go over, so I only have about 5 minutes to do it.
All the slides are going to get sent out to everybody who signed up.
One strategy.
All three sets of slides.
Sorry, guys. Okay, so I want to give you a quick strategy that I implemented. A lot of people used to make fun of me about this, but I do reviews. I go out there and I do reviews on businesses. I go reviews on associations, restaurants, different things like that. I use Google Maps, but I'm expanding into all different things from TripAdvisor and everything. I just got ranked in the top 10% of American restaurant reviewers. I'm not even a foodie, but because I do these reviews, I'm now getting millions of views on my content, which is pretty cool. But now we're at the point where when I go somewhere, they're like, and I tell them what I'm about to do, tell them, hey, we're with this brand, we're going to do a review today. If it's a 5-star experience, if it's a bad experience, I'm not writing a review. I don't believe in tying back any negative content to our brand. It's under our brand. So the McAteer Will brand is the Google Maps page, which is now making up 11% of my website traffic, as crazy as it is. But look at the content, right? So you can see right here, a year ago I did a review in Cape May at JoJo's Pizza. Hey, when I'm taking a break from selling real estate, even though I'm not selling real estate, but this is what I'm doing. I'm taking a break from maybe shooting photos for Lisa at McAteer and Will. I'm having a slice of pizza. Or I'm on vacation having a pizza. 270,000 views on that video.
Posting these on
Maps.
on Maps.
Yeah. But now I'm doing it I'm going all platforms because this is obviously very beneficial. And now, thankfully, I've been doing it long enough where now I have millions of views. It's kind of catapulting me a little bit more too. So when you think about becoming hyperlocal, I'm on everything. So one strategy I want to give you for Facebook, you can use this on your personal, your business. You could do it on Craigslist. You could do it on Marketplace. It's called the upcirculating method. I learned this from Chris Jones. And this is a strategy that generates leads for free. So basically the upcirculating method, I got excited about this strategy. I think I even reached out to you, Dave, and said, hey, I got this new thing I'm doing. Basically what I'm doing is I'm only using 1 to 3 photos. If the house is recognizable, I'm not using a photo from the front. I'm using it maybe from the back, the pool, the inside. 3 photos, very little information. And here I gave you the wrong post here because I put the price point in there. I don't want to put the price point in there. I want to give them very little information. I want them to click on the link. But because if you do this on your business page, you're not getting a lot of traffic, right? So the key is to do it on your personal page and call your upcirculating list of people that you have great rapport with, relationships with, and ask them to share your content immediately upon posting it. That'll trick the algorithm into believing that this is a viral post. They click on the link, they go to a landing page. Within 24 hours, this is just an example. I've been doing this for so long that there's so many more, but you can see how many leads it generated for free just off of one post. And it was a boring listing post. Okay, so we're going to do this quick exercise, and I'm almost at the end. I'm going to say a statement or a question. I want you to raise your hand if you want the backstory. I lost 8 pounds in 3 days. What I did will blow your mind. Do you want to know what I did?
Yes.
Got some people. Okay, cool. My father broke his shoulder when he found out we were pregnant. And then what happened will shock you. Who wants to know the backstory to that? Hey, a couple people. They don't care. They threatened to kill me when I refused to pay. What happened next will leave you speechless. Okay? I thought it was cancer, and what I discovered instead will have you stunned. Raise your hand if you want to know the backstory to this. If I drove a 1995 Ford pickup truck, I'd be in jail right now. Who wants to know the backstory to that?
Oh yeah.
I'm still dealing with that, by the way. I thought I was completely alone, but what happened next will leave you in chills and speechless. Anybody want to know back? Okay. She was my teacher. What happened next would surprise you or shock you. Anybody want to know the backstory to that? Okay, we got more people on there. And I thought I was completely alone, but what happened next will leave you speechless. I think I already said that one. Teacher said I would never succeed, and my classmates said I was destined for jail. What I did to prove them all wrong will leave you inspired. Do you guys want to hear this backstory to that? I turned my back on $750,000, and the reason why will blow your mind. Anybody want to know the backstory to that? Huh? No, a lot of people don't want to hear the backstories. All right, and then you already heard that one. So if you raise your hand right now, right? You look around the room. If you look around the room, you'll see that the majority of you have your hand raised. That's how you generate content. You create a hook with a story. That alone has helped us generate, just over the past 28 days, 165,000 views on our Facebook page, just our Facebook page. That's not including the other different platforms. 165,000 views. How much would it cost for you to mail that many people? Like if you're doing like major campaigns, cost you probably, that's more than 165,000, right? So if you just do one video a day, can you generate enough content that's going to, again, make you very relevant? We all have stories. We all have experiences. Matter of fact, we have Zach Gottlieb right here. Zach, are you here? Zach was kind enough to share his story with us. And Zach, I want to actually play this. Because are you cool if I play this? You sure?
I almost died twice before I turned 35. I was fortunate enough to have 2 open heart surgeries that saved my life. My first one was when I was 20 years old. I was born with a congenital heart defect called bicuspid aortic stenosis with regurgitation. Valves were just misshapen. I had my first open heart surgery when I was in college. Luckily, that saved my life. But more recently, I wasn't feeling well, and I was sent to the emergency room and told everything was completely fine after I was discharged. But a month and a half later, my valves were failing, and I also had an aortic aneurysm. Unbeknownst to me, it was a much bigger deal than I thought at the time. One second I wasn't feeling well, to the next second I was staring down a second open heart surgery, and within a matter of days I was on the operating table, had an 8.5-hour procedure where they cleaned up my infection, gave me 2 new heart valves, got rid of the aneurysm, and then a few days later, unfortunately, the infection had eaten away at my electrical circuit in my heart, so I needed a pacemaker put in, and I spent 13 days in the hospital and have been recovering. Got my now 3rd lease on life. I almost died twice before I turned.
Okay, it's not playing. Zach, can you stand up real quick? Thank you for sharing your story, by the way. What an inspiring story, right? Zach is a local real estate attorney, and when he came in to sit with Dave and myself, and we were talking about building content, he was talking about attorney review, inspections, things like that, but then he started sharing his story. And it was so powerful, I said, that's what we need, because that will resonate with people. That's relatable content, like my daughter would say when she's TikToking. So, thank you, Zach. If you haven't given him a shot, I recommend you do, because not only was he on the operating table, 8 hours after the operating table, I think you even said this in your video, he was doing attorney review letters. And when you talk about commitment, he realized at that moment it was not just a distraction for him, but he truly believed, wow, I love this business, to the point where this is keeping me so distracted and so busy that this is what I really want to do. So if you haven't given it a shot, that's dedication. I recommend you do. So, do you guys have any questions? Because I think I'm probably more in my stay.
No, you're good. We'll do 3 questions if you have
Okay.
them. Anybody? You stumped the crowd? I'm impressed. I got one back here. You just want me to run.
McAteer and Will. McAteer.
So in 2025, can you comment efficacy of SEO versus PPC, or using both?
I use both. I do both. So
real quick, search engine optimization, pay-per-click advertising.
I do both. I spend about $500 a month on paid ads. So ultimately, though, if you can work off organic, most of our volume is organic, then you're gonna win. You're gonna crush it. You don't have to worry about falling victim of changes and things like that. And again, I'm going back to content because it's an easy thing to do to stay relevant. You're gonna get business that way. If you start jumping into doing Facebook groups, great way to build your business. Great way. I have 20,000 members in one group alone. Anytime I advertise anything that I want people at, I get the crowd now. You become influential there. So I would say like a combination. It's just like anything. When you're trying to brand your business, you want to be everywhere. So if you could put a little bit there, but you have to measure. If you're not using metrics, you're falling short. When you want to diet, you measure macros. When you're trying to build business and you're running ad campaigns, if you're doing billboards and people are coming up to you saying, "You reach me, man, that cracks me up," then you're reaching people. You can measure that. I've done everything from having text codes on billboards and saw no results with that. If you're spending $2,000 a month on a billboard, then why not take $2,000 and put it towards a moving truck? And you have a movable. I think I have 2 moving trucks. They've been to like 40-something states, and I get calls all the time about it. My face is on it, but just so you know, I'm full-time title insurance. That's where I spend my time. And anything that I learn, I share with my partners. And we want to be partners with you guys. We want your support. We want to continue to support you. So there was one more question you said? Hope I answered the question.
I don't, unless somebody else has got it, I think we're good. Jill.
I don't need the microphone.
Yes, you do, because the people in the back can't hear you. Here.
Well, then you can't answer.
I don't want
I
to
really wanted to know was, you mentioned 3,500 to 6,000 people and seminars, and I want to know how you're getting that traffic. Is it through the Facebook pages, groups?
Yeah. Well, part of it is that. So like the only time I'll ever boost anything or spend money boosting things, like I don't boost listings unless I'm going to do a targeted ad. If I decide that I want to boost and target a certain area, I'll boost my event on Facebook. But for the most part, now it's at the point where it's become so repetition that people know what's happening, and they reach out to the office saying, "Hey, when are you going to do that event?" A lot of those events create a buzz. So the fireworks show, they weren't doing a fireworks show, so it made it easy for me. And my fireworks show is almost like going to a Macy's parade. It's insane. The pyrotechnician comes in, sets it up. I'm not there lighting fireworks. Now, I've done that, and I've been there in situations where I've been a sponsor where you're at a table, but then you lose control of the branding. But I crush the Facebook groups. I try to get as many shares as possible. I run video campaigns. I add my videos in. I drip out 30, 40,000 people in the CRM on a consistent basis. They know when it's coming. And a lot of times they will come up to me and say, like, "Man, you guys are amazing with your events, and I want to make sure that we support you because you support local." We do everything in business in the town to support local.
Last question. Yeah. Last question.
I hope that answers that.
We'll get 2 more. Go ahead.
But partner with me.
So, Alex, where do you sell? Because you said you live in a very small town. Where's Lisa? Where?
So again, just so you know, I don't sell. I don't list properties. I don't work with buyers. But Lisa, where Lisa sells, is Pike County, Pennsylvania. So this is a great question, because when I started doing these seminars, nobody knew about Pike County, Pennsylvania. They didn't know that Milford and East Stroudsburg and areas like Lake Wallenpaupack and places like that. I mean, it's far. The way Pennsylvania is built, it's like you're not just local now. You're like Pike County is like huge. My property that I own, that I built my house on, is like the size of an entire town. Just to give you an idea of like how big it's spaced out everything is. So you have to dominate Pike County, then you have to dominate Lake area like Wallenpaupack, Shahola, Dingman's Ferry. There's so many areas. So that's the area that she serves. Pike and Wayne County, Orange County, and Sullivan County, New York. Those are the main areas. But you didn't know about that, which is a great opportunity for me to tell you. There's 500 people in the room. I'm telling you about where we sell or where she sells. That's how you build your referral business. So one recommendation, if you don't have a big if you don't have a big business, last year we closed 30 transactions just off referrals, just off that question that you asked me right there. So when you have a recommendation and you're thinking of, well, who am I going to call that lives in that town with only one traffic light? You're going to call the team that shares the same values as you. So my recommendation would be to reach out to teams based on where people are relocating from and introduce yourself. Let them know this is the area I serve. You will get referrals that way. And that's a huge way to get referrals.
Last
30 referrals
last
is like
question.
an entire business.
Yeah, a question about the Facebook groups. Do you go through your personal, private Facebook, and you create groups through there?
Yeah, you just do it right on your personal. You create a group that maybe it's about cooking, and maybe it's about something that's special to you that you find to be like really passionate about. You create a group around it, like I did, called I think it was Skywatchers when all these drones came out. You know, I figured if I could fly my drone up there, get footage, then I can probably go viral with it. Don't shoot for viral content. That's the other thing. Just shoot content. Give value, share stories, create a hook, and measure the metrics on how long your videos are and when the audience is dropping off, because that will tailor how long you make your videos. So if I'm shooting a video for 59 seconds and it's about something that I believe brings value, and I notice that they're dropping off at 27 seconds, then maybe I'm going to shorten my video to 27 seconds, because then I'll get even more engagement. You know, so that's really the name of the game.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Awesome job. Seriously. So